techniques and high speed, team support and utility, and a free-mounted heavy machine gun? The Fast Recon vehicle is one of the strongest teamwork-based stratagems available, and today, I, Quartermaster Creature, am going to teach you the techniques and skills needed to become a real HellDRIVER. Joining me today is Flag Captain Voidus, Ceremonial Preparation Officer Zyrus, along with Truth Cuisine Preparation and Temperature Technician 1151, aka Chef. As the M102 Fast Recon vehicle, FRV for short, is a stratagem that excels when used in team play situations, my comrades here will be indispensable in showing how to best utilise our four-wheeled combustion-charged beauty. And I know a thing or two about driving, trust me. The M102 Fast Recon vehicle is a majority medium and unarmoured reconnaissance vehicle featuring automatic transmission with a heavy machine gun mounted in the back for fire support. It features a generous top speed of 100 km an hour, though with the environments it will be enduring, this speed can be hard to achieve. It comes with 4 gears: reverse, which I doubt needs explanation; neutral, which allows the wheels to spin freely while the transmission is disengaged; drive is for really going broom broom. This will give the FRV the highest possible speed, though good luck controlling it. Forest has the lowest speed but the best control. And finally, second is a mix of first and drive, and personally my favourite. And while the FRV is technically classed as a light reconnaissance vehicle, the largest portion of its chassis is actually generous medium armour. Thanks, High Command. The only light armoured parts of this car are the doors and hood, so take care when using these for cover, HellDRIVER. However, there are several unarmoured parts to the FRV, mainly the tyres and headlights. Take great care to avoid popping the tyres, as they will greatly hinder the FRV's manoeuvrability once gone. And last but certainly not least for durability, the mounted MG206 heavy machine gun. This bad boy is actually indestructible and will only be destroyed when the vehicle itself suffers the same fate. Though the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, as when this mounted MG runs dry of its 4 reserve mags, it is done, with no way to refill it other than calling in another M102 FRV to replace it. And while I would love to delve into the depths and specs of this pretty machine gun, that's a topic for another time, HellDRIVER. But I'm feeling generous today, so here's a brief rundown. 150 damage per shot, 3 fire rates of 450, 600 and 750 rounds per minute at 100 per magazine, though be careful with the reload, as it can be finicky. Oh, and of course, heavy armor penetration, to allow this bad boy to pierce through just about anything a HellDRIVER might face. Delicious. And a brief note for those driving while a squad mate uses the mounted MG. Try to avoid slamming into things at speed, for the sake of your gunner, as they have a tendency to eject when the FRV crashes. Just a little tip from your quartermaster. Now that we've went over the facts of the FRV, we can talk about some opinions and suggestions on how to use it with a team. Obviously, the driver is the most important, as without them the M102 is but a sitting duck for enemies to fire or push up on. Though, while driving solo, a resourceful HellDRIVER can make use of the crouch key to switch seats from the driver's seat or to it. This allows them to lean outside and take a quick pot shot at a nearby enemy, or even throw a stratagem if time allows. Additionally, non-driving HellDRIVERs can use shields such as the SH-51 directional shield or SH-20 ballistic shield to protect the vehicle while on the move by leaning outside, giving the FRV a massive survivability bump against specific factions, which I'll get into soon. And on the utility side of things, rather than offensive or defensive, the FRV can also be used to carry valuable data, like encrypted hard drives or SSSDs, which would normally require a diver to lug them around the map manually. However, this will require 2 HellDRIVERs, one to drive and one to carry the objective, as sadly these pickups cannot simply be stored in the FRV without a diver handling them. Gotta keep that data safe, and nowhere is safer than in the hands of a HellDRIVER. Now, before we talk faction matchups for the FRV, let's talk handling and environments. While it may seem like the FRV is best suited for urban environments, yes, mega cities can give it a slight bit of trouble. When enemies invade these sacred grounds, they usually start terraforming for their own nefarious purposes, corrupting the wonderful asphalt roads that would once be a dream for the FRV. Additionally, I find that megacities have a very limited map space to work with, meaning our vehicle will struggle to reach its full potential. Though, even with that said, the roads I mentioned prior do provide excellent room for road rage should they be unimpeded by enemy influence. I would recommend the M102 FRV in megacities once a HellDRIVER has had practice sufficient to traverse them. Now, where this quartermaster thinks the FRV really shines is colonies. These environments have part urban centre, part wilderness, meaning the utility of this vehicle is at its best in both worlds. Unlike the sieged megacities, the roads of these environments are far more clear, allowing our fast recon vehicle to really live up to its name. And inversely, the non-urban wilderness sections of these drops will also be a breeze for the FRV to tackle. Just be careful of hills for the sake of your gunner, HellDRIVER. And here is where the FRV and the skills of a HellDRIVER really get put to the test. Purely wild environments without a single asphalt road in sight. But don't you worry, I won't leave you high and dry when supporting your team here. So let's talk specific environments. The biome types you'll find on wilderness deployments are sandy, moor, arctic, primordial, and swamp. That is also the order of which I believe the FRV performs in, best to worst. Sandy planets especially are a dream for the FRV to cruise through, with wide open stretches of flat land and hills to jump from for some extra style points. These planets also often negatively affect the HellDRIVER's stamina due to the heat, giving our fast as freedom vehicle some wonderful extra utility. The next best type of planets for the FRV are moors. While not as flat as the previous planet type, these are often less hilly and have big open sightlines, perfect for blitzing it towards objectives or extracts in your vehicle. Though these planets can feature ion storms, which will disable stratagems temporarily, but this benefits the FRV. As without it, a HellDRIVER will have to battle enemies by their lonesome without Eagle or Destroyer support, relying on their primary, secondary, support weapon or teammates. But with an FRV, simply hitch a ride and reposition as one sees fit until the Ion Storm is passed. Up next are Arctic environments, with only 2 variants being present here. This is a toss-up, however. If Democracy Protects often shines in your favour, then let the FRV shine for you too. Otherwise... The 2 variants are named Icy Glaciers and Boneyard respectively. The latter, Boneyard, is vastly preferred here. Similar to moors with how flat they can be, they'll take caution around the ice plants. Driving through one will sting. Icy Glaciers, however, are not a suitable place to drive the FRV. Sometimes. But this is because of the ice on these planets, which the FRV gets near to no traction on and will struggle to move. If a HellDRIVER is unlucky, these locations can be covered in ice, making the FRV more of a hindrance than a help, which is why I would simply avoid the Icy Glaciers for anyone looking to master the M102 FRV. Though if that gamble is taken and an FRV is stuck in the ice, try Gear 1, that has the best control at the cost of speed. Primordial and Swamp biomes are next. I'll be lumping the 2 together here because they are both a certified pain in the exhaust pipe for the FRV. While the Primordial environments are more hilly, they feature a lot of trees which ruin sightlines and make crashes a frequent occurrence. And swamps, I hope you like driving at 5 km an hour, HellDRIVER, because maneuvering in these places with a vehicle is like 4 overlapping stratagem jammers, just a miserable time all round. However, these are only my opinions and suggestions. I may be free of thought, but you are not, HellDRIVER. If you wish to challenge your driving skills, then both Primordial and Swamps will be an excellent test. Finally, I can get to talking about factions. Though this is unusual, it's not often I struggle to rank which faction a piece of equipment does best against. I think the first 2 are tied, honestly, HellDRIVER, though all 3 require different tactics to utilise the FRV best. Let's start off with the inhumane Illuminate. Against these squids, the FRV is a force to be reckoned with, as only one single enemy of theirs, the Stingray, is capable of keeping up with its speed. And even that is a temporary burst and not sustained like the M102 is capable of. The high mobility and agility afforded by the recon vehicle will give divers a razor-sharp edge with which to bifurcate any squids they happen to encounter, or simply avoid them should the situation need it. Against the Voltless, the FRV will simply power through them, able to drive through a horde should a HellDRIVER demand it. Against flesh mobs, however, their gluttonous mass will bring the FRV to a halt, and they even have the power to smack it around should they be within range. As such, I would advise keeping your distance from them, using the mounted heavy machine gun in the rear to rip through their sizable health pools, or leaning out and giving them a taste of some freedom on the go. As for Overseers, the Standard and Crescent variants will require a little extra power to destroy in the FRV, and same as the Voltless, running them over is always a fun exercise. Though speed will be important here, as both will not take their vehicular slaughter lightly and will fight back with their ranged attacks. The only variant of Overseers that will give a driver and their divers trouble is the Elevated Overseer, though the speed of an FRV can quickly maneuver out the way of their attacks. But the same can be said for them, their hover packs allowing them mobility to dodge out the way of an FRV-bound HellDRIVER's attempts to down them. But fear not, I have a weapon suggestion that will cut them down with ease. The P92 Warrant. I've covered this beauty in depth before, but know that it has a lock-on system, making taking down elevated Overseers a breeze. And from one mobile enemy to another, the Stingray. These aerial banes can be a blight to an immobile HellDRIVER, though with an FRV repositioning out of their line of fire should be more than comfortable. Combined with the rear MG's heavy armor penetration, fast fire rate, and the Stingray's pathetic little medium armored hull, this is one of the best matchups for this vehicle on the Illuminate front. The only enemy I can see the FRV struggling against here is the towering Harvesters. While their shields will fall quickly to the MG or passenger's weapons, their energy beam is a sustained line of damage that will effectively block a direction for the M102 to drive in. Caution is advised against these lanky-legged foes, as their arc attack will also make quick work of HellDRIVERs aboard the FRV. Focusing their medium armored hip joints with either the mounted heavy machine gun or a medium armor penetrating weapon wielded by a passenger will take them down swiftly. Or one could always drop a barrage or 500 kilogram at their feet and drive like hell. That works too. Now for loadouts. One quick little note here that applies to all factions and not just the Illuminate. The fast recon vehicle has a tendency to roll around. Should it get stuck upside down, a well-placed explosive will flip it back over, and I'd recommend dedicated HellDRIVERs wield either the CB9 exploding crossbow or GP31 grenade pistol, or my personal favourite for flipping cars, the SG8P Punisher Plasma. This energy mortar fires an explosive ball with hefty knockback, sufficient enough to flip the FRV without damaging it or popping tyres, which the crossbow and grenade pistol can struggle with. Just be cautious of the range, don't shoot the car directly. Back to the Illuminate, however. As I've already recommended weapons for dedicated HellDRIVERs, let's talk armor. Crashes are unavoidable in the FRV. They are just a fact of cruising through a war zone. Hence why I would recommend medkit armor to bring you and your teammates back to fighting and driving form. Against the Illuminate, I'd say medium is the best fit here. And for passengers or a driver who likes to swap seats, a controllable support weapon to supplement the rear gunner or even solo gun is important. The MG43 machine gun, M105 Stalwart, LAS-98 laser cannon, or should you want double the HMG action, the MG206 heavy machine gun will all pair nicely firing out from the mobile FRV. Just be careful not to shoot your squad mates should they also be firing. And now, most importantly, backpacks. The SH-32 Shield backpack will provide constant protection to the FRV with its bubble surrounding the diver wearing it, particularly useful for the rear machine gunner, though arguably more valuable is the SH-51 Directional Shield, which will protect both the FRV and the diver wielding it while they lean out of the vehicle with a wide surface area. A positively democratic combo with a one-handed CB9 exploding crossbow, if I do say so myself. Up next, the vile Terminids. As I'm sure every HellDRIVER knows, these bugs love to swarm and surround, giving the FRV a particularly useful role as an escape tool from their overwhelming numbers, and there's nothing quite like firing into a charging charger with the rear MG as you make an escape. Much like the Voteless, bugs from scavengers up to brood commanders will be flattened beneath the wheels of freedom, though for anything bigger, caution is advised. Chargers, as mentioned prior, love to chase a fast-rolling FRV, and without proper maneuvering or killing, these shockingly nimble brutes can inflict heavy damage or destroy the vehicle itself, HellDRIVERs included. As such, a rear machine gunner is highly useful in this front for dissuading any pursuers and turning those harder to persuade into jellified E710. Aim for the face or legs, both will stop a charger quick as they run. As for the bigger beasties, Bile Titans and Impalers both prove a critical threat to the FRV. While Titans aren't as fast, their size affords them a certain mobility and are able to catch up to a careless diver to spew their wretched bile and destroy an FRV and all those inside. Rear or side gunners are advised to aim for either the Titan's face with anti-tank weaponry, or with the mounted MG, their bile sac to disable the ranged spew attack. Impalers, in this Quartermaster's opinion, are a far larger threat to the FRV than Bile Titans, as their ranged attacks do not require them to be near their target. Cowards. If a recon vehicle happens to find an Impaler with its tentacles in the ground, get that rear MG on the highest RPM and tear its exposed face to shreds. Just don't stay still whilst doing so, driver, lest you fall victim to their tentacles. Loadouts wise, to suit the FRV, on the Terminid front I'd say the most important thing here is armor. Particularly armors with fortified and medkit passives, with the former actually giving sizable resistances to the bile these bugs belch. Alternatively, Democracy protects, for those who would rather leave their fates to chance. Light or medium for each, Paradiver's preference and availability. And support weapons for passengers, once more the MG206 heavy machine gun, GR8 recoilless rifle, or ARC3 arc thrower will serve excellently aboard the FRV. Backpacks wise, sadly the SH51 directional shield will do little to help against these melee oriented bugs. Personally, I would opt instead for the SH32 shield generator backpack or Lift 850 jump pack. The latter as an emergency escape measure should things go sideways aboard the recon vehicle. And finally, the Steel Marchers, the Heralds of Cyberstan, the Automaton Legion. I'd say this is the front the FRV performs worst on, though that is a mild opinion and can be greatly corrected in a number of ways. As with the other factions, the weakest of the automatons, their simple little foot soldiers, can be smashed with barely an effort and a glance of speed from our furious FRV. However, Devastators and up is where that starts to get dicey, as they will take significantly more effort to crush. For these medium armoured foes, the heavy machine gun in the back will make short work of them. They'll take caution when facing rocket and heavy Devastators, as they can deal significant damage to the FRV and even destroy it if they get lucky. Scout Striders pose little threat, though the rockets of reinforced Striders are lethal if impacting a vehicle. These are priority targets. Cut them down with prejudice, diver. Hulks and larger, though, don't even bother trying to ram them. In order to stay driving against these foes, driving, as obvious as it sounds, is key. Mobility is essential, even more so than against the Illuminate and Terminids, as the automatons rely on longer range tactics and burst damage. When facing a Hulk, employ similar tactics to Chargers, outpace them as they try to close the distance, though for Bruisers, which utilise rockets, circling them wide will give the rear and side gunners a far better chance of beating them. Tanks, same tactic, circle them. Do not give their guns line of sight unless as an absolute last resort. The exception being barrager tanks, which can be destroyed easily by shooting down the front of their rocket tubes. Gunships are a particular favourite of mine in the FRV. Good target practice for a gunner and excellent evasion practice for the HellDRIVER. Easy to shoot down with a mounted MG too. A quick spray with that or anything medium penetrating or higher should make short work of them. And lastly, Factory Striders. Surprisingly, this is not a bad matchup for the FRV if you play your cards right. Similarly to tanks, being in front of these beasts is near guaranteed death, though the recon vehicle's speed allows it quick repositioning. Directly behind at close range will be suitable for the gunners to fire into the medium armoured underbelly, and don't be scared of repositioning HellDRIVER, as the Strider won't just take this in the steel belly and will try to acquire a target once more. Another suitable target is the Strider's front chin guns, which the MG will make swift work of, though caution is advised. Similar to mobility, a solid loadout is key for surviving and thriving with the FRV against the bots. To begin with, armors. Fortified or ballistic padding would be my passives of choice for the explosive resistance and recoil control. Not that I'm saying I expect your vehicle to explode, but better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? Support weapons wise, as mobility is essential against these machines, the FAF-14 Spear, GR8 recoilless rifle, MG206 heavy machine gun and LAZ-98 laser cannon will pair well with the FRV's agility. For backpacks, the SH-32 shield generator backpack and SH-51 directional shield are essential for the survivability of the vehicle. As well, these bots love precision, they just as much like saturation fire. Protecting your FRV is crucial to ensuring it lives a long and healthy life with the divers who care for it. Though for those interested in obliterating your enemy before they can obliterate you, the B100 portable hell bomb. Hop out, drop it, hop back in and drive as fast as freedom allows. And to wrap up, if individuality and selfish self-reliance is what makes the Illuminate as vile as they are, teamwork and assisting your fellow diver is what makes the HellDRIVER Corps invincible. The FRV is the epitome of this, allowing divers to come together as one cohesive unit and power through anything in their way, be it with bullets, bombs, or burning rubber. Learn to utilize the fast recon vehicle well and you will have an invaluable spot amongst any team composition. A true HellDRIVER is truly a force that can't be matched. And with that, I hope I've convinced you veterans to try and master the FRV, and rookies to eagerly await their turn with the fiery wheels of freedom. This is Quartermaster Creature, driving off. Thank you for making it to the end of another video. I very much appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, you know, it's the YouTuber thing to say. This video, I think, was kind of a banger though. I've been wanting to make one in the car forever, and I very much appreciate the help of Flag Captain Voidus, ceremonial something Zydus, and Truth Cuisine temperature and preparation and temperature technician chef. Sorry that I'm forgetting the titles. I remember those guys' names. So big thank you to those guys. Go check them out as well. But yeah, see you next time. Like and subscribe, or okay.